Studios. It's another deadline day, as you can see. You know, everybody's here. Actually, it's not really a deadline for us. It's a deadline for the guys that are getting the Xbox thing going. And here we are.
So this is the box. This is Ego Draconis, the collector's edition. It was only released in a few countries like this, and it featured a big porcelain-like knight in it. Unfortunately, this one has his legs broken, like many hundreds of them. There was only a few thousands of them made. This is what it looked like. This is one of the few remaining pieces that is actually intact, and it was made in China, as you can see. And we're very happy, and you can open letters with it, so it's pretty cool. You look at the back of the box, what do you see? It says "Free the dragon within you," and it's because in this game you could turn yourself into a dragon. And it also claims that you have dynamic quest structure and all kinds of cool things which feature in an epic role-playing game. Looking back at this now and thinking of what was supposed to be on the back of that box, it's clear that we had to make really a lot of cuts, actually. I remember that I went to the UK, pitched it to a major publisher, and the team had been working very hard on preparing a video, and this video was supposed to show the vision behind the game, so what all things were that you were going to be able to do in the game. And so it showed you that you could turn yourself into a dragon at will, anywhere in the game, and you had massive epic air-to-ground dragon combat.
Well, what we actually did was not a single particle, that was just launching a fireball every 20 milliseconds at the enemy, and that made it look like a continuous stream of fire.
Just a small moment, you really felt powerful, torching the earth.
You couldn't target anyone accurately, you were just spewing fire everywhere and you couldn't really aim to like, and yeah, it killed everyone, but it was not really fun or anything. We allowed it for one boss fight. It was against the Dragon Terror Patrol. It was this group of 5 guys that specialized in killing dragons, and they had made a device that prevented you from turning into a dragon. And to stop you from disabling it, one of the guys had swallowed it. But if you killed him, then the thing was disabled, so you could turn into a dragon and kill the rest. But I don't know if anyone ever actually realized that you could do that, because it was not very explicit. They just said that, and yeah, but they were really, yeah, exactly. They were because they were really strong. They were kicking your ass. But if you knew that you could just kill one of the 5 and then from then on turn into a dragon and kill the rest, then it was an easy fight. But I don't think anyone ever found out.
But the Dragon Terror Patrol, that's also short for
DTP.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. That's how smart we are. So yeah, that was a little wink.
You wanted to make fun of the publishers, actually? Or?
No. It was an homage to them, because, well, yeah, I mean, that's what we do. No, we never make fun of anyone. That's not our style.
That you could also turn yourself into a half-dragon, so that was a form that we thought up so that you would be able to also turn into a dragon in a dungeon, because if you try to fly in a dungeon it's rather painful.
I think it was balancing-wise, because, I mean, people would always be a half-dragon, there's no downside to that, being the half-dragon.
He got back into the game as a elf dragon, I think? Dragon elf, yeah, dragon elf, that was the name.
Yeah, we did reuse the model for a species on the ones on...
We didn't really reuse him. At first he looked like this.
I think it was fun to play, but it wasn't special enough. In the end, I think we just stopped using them because as we started fleshing out the normal hero, the warrior, the melee skills, etc., we noticed those are actually more fun than the half-dragon, which only had a limited set of skills.
According to programmers, design couldn't do it because it was unbalanceable. And according to design, programs couldn't do it because it was too slow.
Exactly, the Xbox didn't do it.
We had to remove like half the characters from Dragons.
Yeah, it was disgusting. All the animals in Broken Valley as well, like all the animals, they had to be removed because that was too many characters in the same area. You know the killer bunny that appears when you kill 30 bunnies? Then there were not enough bunnies in the game to make it appear. So, and because it was an achievement to kill it, we had to make sure it was in. So we had to put bunnies back in, to make sure we had at least 30, so you could do it. Yeah, it was crazy.
We had this half dragon, so we also had a very extensive combat system which featured all kinds of moves that you could do, including blocking and parrying and evading and jumping in all kinds of directions, and it all looked very neat. We had multiplayer, which was a big feature, so the quests were going to be done such that you could play them in single player, but you were going to have a separate campaign, so you could play in multiplayer.
We started off with a different branch in multiplayer, and it worked-ish until halfway, and then we needed more focus on the other parts of the game, so the focus shifted away from multiplayer. And then eventually it became way too much work to get multiplayer back in.
Because they couldn't make the quests interesting enough. With multiplayer it's a lot more complex, as we're noticing now. Well, let's just say it's design reasons, but the technical stuff was an added bonus when we scrapped it.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of work, But it was actually working. Multiple dragons, the physics syncing, it was all there.
I think we had like 30 or 40 large levels that we were going to do, where in the end I think we ended up with 10 or so, or no, even less.
Yeah, this is, you remember those...
I do remember. I made most of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's too bad, huh? Interesting
Yeah.
story.
Most of it got scrapped though.
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, I still have the designs right here.
I remember I built this whole city, Elegant City, and then took like 6 months to build that thing, and then suddenly someone came and said, yeah, look,
So
it looks good, but we're gonna scratch it. When I see you holding this stuff, it looks like the design phase was already pretty far.
pretty much, man. We had designed a lot of it actually.
But for some reason it got scratched, Frank. Do you remember why?
Yeah, I remember why. Apparently we couldn't make it to the deadline, and back then we were making Flames of Vengeance, and you know, we might as well just kept it in and made it better with Dragon Knight Saga, like we did with the rest of the game. I remember you cried that day.
I cried.
You cried.
I guess that's what happens in the video game industry.
No, only to you. You're working a lot slower these days.
I'm working a lot
aren't you?
slower. I'm not making as much content.
Yeah, it's better that way.
It really looked awesome. Really had a lot of
It did look good. Look good. It's a black ring count. Beautiful area.
We had an enormous world, and a really big world, which was necessary because we had all these races that we were going to cover. You had the elves, and the dwarves, and the orcs, and the undead, and the imps, and the lizards, and well, all the races that were ever present in the previous divinities were present in this game world.
As a Dragon Knight, you went around the entire world and met with all the races, and you had to convince all these races to send a delegation to the battle tower, and your battle tower would become sort of your headquarters, or where all your armies would amass. And once you had a big enough army to actually take on Damien and his armies,
Actually, I've forgotten about that.
you would have taken all these armies, and then in an RTS type of gameplay, you would attack with humans, dwarves, elves, other dragon knights. It's a whole lot of work, because just for the end game you need to implement an entire RTS, and not only that, you need to implement a tutorial so that people know how to play the RTS, and you're stepping away completely from a game that already had two genres, because